Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is time to create a new TBR, but this time we're doing something a little bit different and making a TBR out of TBRs. In this cup is every single book that I have put on a TBR over the past year. There aren't many because I only really do monthly TBRs, but there's a decent chunk in here, enough to really intimidate me. So I thought for December's TBR, in a drive to actually get me to read the books that I put on my TBR, I would pick from previous TBRs. How many times can a girl say TBR in a single video? Let's get a counter going. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the first pick. I'm gonna do a total of 10, and then I'm gonna run you through all the other books that I have to read this month that are part of either book clubs or are part of NetGalley ARCs that I've received, those sorts of things. So first pick is going to be 1111, which is from my November TBR, and I believe this is by Micalea Smeltzer, I want to say. So this follows a woman who moves away from her town after a divorce and has a one-night stand, only to come across that man that she had a one-night stand with all over again when she's on a date with his dad. It is an age gap romance where the woman is older than the man, just for something new and different. And I hear it's really spicy and fun and kind of swoony as well. So that's the first book. Time to pick book number 2, which is going to be whatever's in this little green sticky note. We have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, which is part of my big Sarah J Maas reread project that I'm doing at the moment, where I reread every single thing that Sarah J Maas has published in this sort of world, fantasy romance kind of world, in publication order. I am currently up to A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the sort of viral series, I guess. Like Throne of Glass came out first, but I feel like ACOTAR made Sarah J Maas mainstream. And it follows Feyre, who one day, trying to feed her family, she goes out into the woods and she kills a wolf, only for someone to show up at her door, I think that night, basically saying, that wolf was actually my friend and you killed him, and as penance, I'm going to kidnap you, take you over the wall to the Spring Court, to the Fey realm, where you'll have to live with me for the rest of time. Seeing no other option and knowing that her family will be cared for if she does do this, Feyre goes with this person, with Tamlin, and it's a bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling initially, although the series does expand significantly from that point. On to book number 3. I think it's just got really dark in here. Sorry if you can see that. We're gonna go with this one. We have The Chase by Elle Kennedy, which is actually a book that I've been really hoping would come up in this TBR, because it is the other series, I guess, by Elle Kennedy that's really famous in that sort of hockey world. It is the first book, I think, in the Erriu series, which follows, I believe it's one of the sisters of one of the characters in the Off-Campus series, and it is a hockey romance. It is in a college setting, and yeah, that's all I know about it, and that's all I'm gonna tell you about it because I kind of want to go in blind. For number 4, we are gonna go with whatever's in this little green sticky note. So we've got The Lighthouse Witches by CJ Cooke, and this is one that I was kind of hoping wouldn't come up because I'm really intimidated by it. It's not something I usually read, but from memory it follows these 2 sisters who go to this island and then they never come back until one day one of them comes back, I think like 20 years later or something, and she's completely unchanged by time. So it's a mystery about where they've been, where the other sister is, and how she has been unchanged by time. I think that's what it is. This is from my October TBR, so it should be fairly like current in my head, but it's not. So that is book number 4. For book number 5, we are gonna go with whatever is in this green sticky note. Green seems to be the color of the day, and it is going to be, we've got Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, another book that I'm kind of intimidated by. This is the sequel to Love Redesigned by this author, and it's 2 books in the latest series by this author called Lakefront Billionaires. This one follows Raph and Elle. Raph is like a struggling workaholic, he's a single dad, and Elle is unemployed. She's a hopeless romantic, she's a songwriter, I believe. She gets hired by Raph one day to go on their summer vacation with them and be the nanny for his son. She used to have a crush on him back in high school, and he is determined to protect his heart, even if it means breaking hers after his divorce. So it definitely seems like it's going to be like a reluctant, trying to not admit their feelings for each other kind of romance, and I think that will be fun and super tension filled. For book number 6 of 10, we are gonna go with whatever is on this sticky note. I almost picked up 2 there, and it's gonna be Emperor of Wrath I don't know who that's by, but it was on my November TBR, so it should be front of mind. I think this is one of like my Kindle ones. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, so it's on my Kindle. It's by Jagger, and it looks like it's a mafia dark romance. And the blurb on Goodreads says, to stop a war, I'm forced to marry a monster. Charming and seductive, cold-blooded and merciless, Kenzo Mori, the wrathful king of the Mori mafia family, is a sinfully beautiful devil with a heart of ice. He's an enemy who's had a target on my back for years, and now he's my new husband. Our marriage of convenience is supposed to end the violence between the Bratva and the Yakuza. Little does he know, the real war has only just begun. So I think it's going to be obviously enemies to lovers, and I think there's going to be a forbidden romance element to it, and it looks like potentially there's going to be some sabotage in there as well. So intrigued. Not something I usually read a lot of, but it could be fun. Book number 7, I think we're at number 7, is going to be whatever's in here. This spells love, and again, I don't know who this is by, but I recognize the cover. I think it's like blue and it's got people on it, and then it's like some stuff around them, I think. Let me look it up. I was right, it is blue and it's got people and there's like stuff around them and there's like a reflection in the water. It's really cool. And it's about a young woman who tries to heal her heartbreak by casting a spell to erase her ex from her past, but she wakes up in an alternate reality where she's lost more than she wished for in this witty, whimsical Friends to Lovers debut. Sounds interesting. So Friends to Lovers is not a trope that I would usually gravitate towards necessarily, but I do find it charming and it can be a nice easy read, especially given I'm going to be reading some Mafia apparently this month and some fantasy and stuff, so I enjoy that. And then witchy, which is cool. So yeah, it'll be nice, I think. Yeah, we'll get it. Oh, and it's by Robb, which I forgot to say. But anyway, book number 8 is going to be whatever is in, oh, I've got 2 there. This one. We've got The Book of Love by Kelly Link, and I think this is a book where I thought it was a romance, but it's actually really not. It's about like life and stuff, but let me look up the blurb because it's from my January TBR, so I barely remember it. Though I barely remember any book, even if it was from November, apparently. So it follows 3 people, Laura, Daniel, and Mo, who find themselves beneath the fluorescent lights of a high school classroom almost a year after they disappeared and were presumed dead. And in fact, they are dead, but in the room with them is a teacher who seems to know something about their disappearance and what has brought them back again. So desperate to reclaim their lives, the 3 students agree to a bargain, and they are given a series of magical tasks, which if they undertake, they may be able to return to their families and friends. So sounds intriguing. Sounds kind of like magical realism-y and potentially like a mixture of magic, but then also commentary on life and what you leave behind, maybe? Or maybe I'm just like reading too deeply into that, but anyway, it's by Kelly Link and it's from January, and the next book is going to be whatever's in this one, and this is book number 9, I think. We have Lightlark, which I believe is by Aster. This is from my July TBR, and I think it follows a character who gets involved in this deadly game, which is played by the gods every however many years, I'm not sure. It happens every 100 years, and only the 6 rulers of the kingdom are allowed to play. And this game offers those rulers the chance to break the curses that have been placed upon them. So we're following Elle Crown, who is the young ruler of Wildling, a realm of temptresses cursed to kill anyone they fall in love with. They're feared and despised and are counting on Isla to end their suffering by succeeding at the Centennial. So to survive, Isla has to lie, cheat, and betray, even as love complicates everything. So fantasy romance, I think it's YA as well, and it's part of a series. So this would be adding another series to my TBR, which, you know what, that's fine. There's like, I'm at like 120 series on my TBR at the moment, which is just ridiculous. And I really need to make a dent in that. So potential future video coming on smashing out some of those series. And we are up to our last selection before we go into the other books that I need to read this month, and it's going to be whatever is on this card, or sticky note, let's be honest, it's not a card. And it is Heavenly Bodies by Imani. Erriu, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the author's last name. This is a fantasy romance, I want to say, and it's from my February TBR. I think it's now been traditionally picked up, but originally, I believe it was kind of like celestial in nature, and it was independently or self-published, I think. It's set in a world where no entities exist but the stars that are cruel and merciless gods that watch over the world, and we follow a character called Alara who's been cursed by fate, a prophecy that promises she will fall for a star and it will kill them both. But when one descends to wreak havoc on Alara's kingdom, she is forced to flee into the arms of her enemy in the neighboring country. As she learns more about her own magic and the depth of the star's deceit, she also finds herself learning more about the country she is forced to take refuge in and the enemy prince forced to train her into a weapon. Something dark brews within her, a power made of night and shadows that beg to be broken free. So yeah, fantasy romance, I think an enemies to lovers element in it, and it's celestial and like godlike in nature, so I think it'll give those vibey sorts of feelings and maybe even like those wintry sorts of feelings from how I remember the cover looking in my head. But anyway, let's go into the other books that I have to read in December, which is pretty much entirely made up of NetGalley ARCs. So I'm gonna go through these pretty briefly, and the dates that I'm gonna give you are the date that I have to read these by, not necessarily the publication date, because sometimes the archive date for these books falls before the publication date, but they'll come out around the dates that I'm telling you. So first up, on the 3rd of December, we've got Keep Me by Sarah Kate, which I expect to be sort of an erotic romance kind of story. Then on the 5th of December, we've got In Want of a Suspect by Tears of Price, which I expect to be quite similar to its predecessor, Pride and Premeditation, in that was a sort of Jane Austen Pride and Prejudice retelling, but with a murder mystery in it. So I expect this will be similarly a Jane Austen or classic retelling with murder mystery. Then on the 9th of January, we've got Not in My Book by Katie Holt, which I think is a workplace contemporary romance. On the 13th of January, we've got One Last Night by Lauren Ford, which again, another adult contemporary romance. Then on the 16th of January, we have this absolutely adorable sounding book called The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi, which is a cozy romantasy, and I assume is set in like sort of a cat cafe, but for baby dragons. Also on the 16th of January, we've got P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly, which I think is a sort of road trip and I'm assuming hate to love romance. And lastly, on the 16th of January, we've got Unromance by Erin Connor. Then on the 30th of January, we have the eagerly anticipated Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. I love everything this author puts out, and I think this, based on the sort of sequence of the title, is probably going to be a sequel to Out on a Limb rather than in the next of series. Then we've got Rustler Mountain by Maisie Yates on the 25th of February, which I'm guessing is a farm, like cowboy romance kind of thing. And then finally on the 25th of March, we've got Four Steps to the Perfect Fate Date by Lillian Monroe. Sorry, I had to remind myself of the author name there. As you can tell, these are coming out over the next few months, but I desperately want to get my NetGalley percentage of read books to approved books up, because there was a period of time when I first got NetGalley where I got a bunch of books approved and then I basically forgot NetGalley existed and I didn't read any of them. So my review rate is at like 30%, which is not great for actually getting approved for books that I really want to read now. So I'm trying to get that up, and to do that, I'm going to try and read as many of these books, obviously in chronological order, as I can, as soon as possible. That is my TBR, every single book that I want to read in December. It is probably not gonna happen, but December is the Christmas period and I have a bunch of free weekends. I'm gonna give it my best shot, and I guess you will have to wait and see for my December wrap up to find out how successful I was at reading that. Maybe I'll give you like a percentage of the total TBR of like how much I actually ended up reading, because I love stats and I hope you do too. This is every single book on my December TBR. Do let me know in the comments down below every single book that you are going to put on your December TBR, and any books in particular from this list that you would really recommend I pick up first. Please do like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every single time I release new content. It really, really helps out my channel, and I really, really look forward to like chatting to you guys in the comments and boosting this channel back up again, and I guess trying in the new year to get my YouTube going. But for now, that is it from me. Have a lovely day or night or whatever you're having, and wherever in the world that you're having it. I am going to go and try and read some of these books, so I will see you in my next video. Bye!